This prayer journal is part of a Bible study from Charlene Warwick's Coffee Club, and the printables are available in her Etsy shop, and I will leave the link in the comments below. So the first thing I did was print the printables at half size. So when I did them in my printer, I told the printer to print them 2 per page. This makes the printables 4.5 inches by 6 inches. When you get the entire set, there are freebies for those that are in the coffee club, but if you decide to get the entire set, you're going to find that there are 7 different girls. There are reflection sheets, there are prayer sheets, and there are sheets for note-taking. What I did was I made sure that I printed a reflection sheet, a prayer sheet, and a note sheet for each of the 7. Now in this study, we're looking at 7 different women in the Bible. You could make this journal to do more than that just by double printing any of the pages that you want. You could make it do less than that, but for our study, we're going to be doing 7. So I decided to use an old grocery bag, and I had 2 grocery bags, and it took 2 for me to make enough pages for this journal. So I just flattened them out, and I cut them all down to my page size. I made my pages 1/2 inch larger than my printables, so the pages were 5 inches by 6.5 inches. Because I am doing a stitched binding for this journal, that means that my width is double so that I can fold my pages in half, and that made it 10 inches wide by 6.5 inches tall. So here I'm just cutting the bottom off the grocery sack, and then I'll start measuring the width of the grocery sack I'm going to use for the width of my pages. And so I'm cutting the height right now, which is 6.5 inches. So I have 8 10-inch by 6.5 pieces of paper, which I folded in half. And then I decided that I would do 2 pieces in each signature. So a signature in a book is a section that's put together for stitching. So what I'm doing is I'm putting 2 pieces together, one inside the other, and then I'll have 4 signatures. So 8 10-inch by 6.5 inch tall. And you can use any paper you want. You don't have to use a grocery sack. You could use craft paper, you could use scrapbook paper, copy paper. You can use any kind of paper you want. I laid out my girls in the order that I wanted to glue them in my book. There's not a right or a wrong order. It is totally up to you. If you are using the freebie only, you can choose to either repetitively print the girl that's on there, or you can choose not to put a girl in every section. It's a decorative element. It's a page that you could add more ephemera to. If you don't want to add that, you don't need to. You can put one girl in, and then you can just put your reflection and prayer pages and note pages. The way that you set up your journal is completely up to you. So I decided in mine to put the girl on the left and a note page on the right. And then my next page has my reflection and my prayer sheet. So that's the layout I decided on. Having the girl and the note page in one spread gives me a place for note-taking and creativity. And then when I turn the page, having my reflection and prayer gives me a page for journaling. And of course, if you don't fill it all with journaling, then you can certainly add ephemera or do whatever you want there. So then I just go ahead and start gluing my pages down. Remember that you can put these in any order that you want to. I just made sure that I had a section for each of the 7 women that we're going to study. So however you choose to do your journal is fine. Whatever order you put your pages in is fine. There is no right or wrong. Just decide on your layout, have fun with it. Don't stress over it. Just print your pages however you want. You can do this with the freebie set. You do not have to purchase the full set. I love having all the girls. I am to the point where I went ahead and got my book put together. I ended up with 4 signatures, and I think I showed you before I got everything glued that I had 2 pages in each. And so they're all in the order that I want them in. I have 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And now what I'm gonna do is bind these together, and I'll have my little prayer journal. So I'm just gonna use a pen to mark where my holes go. I have an awl. I have a tapestry needle, some embroidery floss in the color that I wanted, and I'm gonna use some twine, and I will get to that in a little bit. So the first thing is I have this piece, which is the same size as my signatures. That's just one of the extra pieces that I had cut. So I have to figure out where I want my holes to be. Now I have decided I'm gonna do 4 holes. So like 1, 2, 3, 4. I just wanna make sure they're evenly spaced. So I'm just gonna look at my measurements here. Since I have, what is it, 6.5? So here's my center line. And so I am going to put 1 hole there. This is just my guide. 1 hole there. And I'm gonna come out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm gonna have 1 there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I'm gonna have 1 there. That leaves 4 and 4 on the end. I don't want to make the mark too dark because I don't want it to show. I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try a little bit wider nib on my pen. I could see them barely, but I want you to be able to see straight up the ruler. That looks better. Straight up the triangle. Straight up. Whoops. Got that one a little crooked. I had to go back and do it a second time. That'll mess me up a little, but not bad. Okay. So everybody likes to do this different, but this is how I like to do it. Everybody has their own way. There's not a right or wrong. Hopefully you can see it's kind of like a shadow. I don't know if you can see the marks. Like here's one, here's one, here's one, here's one. Okay. So it is very faint. I can see it fine. You might not see it very well on camera, but I have a dot here, and a dot here. And the thing about doing it like this with the ruler and setting them firm is that way they're gonna line up in the right places so that they're gonna be even. So the important thing is don't let your pages slip. Today, this is just 2 pages per signature. So, or 2 folios per signature. And I'm just going to take my awl, put it right on the dot. I'm really close to the camera, you guys. I'm sorry. But I wanted this to be close. All right, so there's my first one. I'm going to flip it over. Take my second one. This is the one where I went crooked. So I know that it's the one to the left of the dot because it got away from me the first time. And then I'm going to flip it over and lay it on top. I'm just doing this with all 4 of these. There's my dot. There's my dot. There's my dot. Okay, whoops, get on my dot. Don't let it slip off your dot. You want it to be on your dot. Dot. Now, if you don't have an awl and you're doing a small thing like this, you can use a needle like this, but you're probably going to want to have a thimble on your finger to kind of push it down. It's much easier to make your hole with an awl because when you twist, it makes a nice clean hole because it's got a really, really sharp tip on it. All right, there's my last one. Okay, so now my holes are all done. There they are. Okay, so what I'm going to do, because of the way that I want to bind this, I am going to go from the outside, under, come out, under, come out, and I'm going to wrap around twine. And so I'll show you that. First of all, I got to get my string here long enough. I'm going to go just beyond my page. I've got 4 signatures, and then I'm going to wrap. So I'm going to do at least 4. 2. So if you have a needle threader is great. With these tapestry needles though, you can usually get your thread through. This is not waxed. You can wax it if you want to, but I'm not waxing this. All right, decide how long I want them. They don't need to be overly long. All right, so I have 4 holes, so I'm going to cut 4 pieces of twine. Okay, there's 4. All right, getting started is the hardest, and once you get started, then it's just routine. So I need my end to be sticking out for the end because it's going to get tied. So what I'm going to do is I am going to go, this is not going to make a lot of sense, but getting started is the worst part. So basically what I want to do is I want to make sure that I have a loop around my twine. And I want a tail because I'm going to tie that at the end when I'm done with my project. So I want a loop there. And I'm going to just loop it like that. I'm going to go through my first hole. I'm probably going to have to re-loop it because it's loose because it's the first one. But I'm not going to worry about it too much right now. Let's see. I think if I take the tiniest little piece of my purple tape, that would be the easiest way to hold it in place. Let's do that. Now, I'm going to have other signatures, so that means I'm going to have it go that way. I want this piece, and I'm going to actually wrap this around here, because it's my beginning piece. And I am going to gently tape this right here because I don't want it to move. And that's going to flip around. I'm not worried about that. Okay, now I'm on the inside. I'm going to go through my other hole this way. And I'm going to come up. Make sure I went all the way through so you can see it on the inside. Okay, I'm going to take another piece of twine. I'm going to go around the piece of twine again. I'm just going to hold the twine here. And I'm probably going to have to tape these because they're going to want to flip really bad. And I need that loop to be close to the spine. And I want to kind of decide where I want it, because I'm going to have those other ones. Okay, so I wrapped it around. I hope that made sense. I'm going to go back in the same hole because the twine is what's holding it in place. I gotta say, bookbinding is one of those things that is a little bit difficult to do on camera because of the way that you have to move. There, Okay, now see, because this one I came from both sides, it's staying down nice. This one, because it's not tied down over here at all, it's sticking out. Okay, there we go. Now I'm going to come up through the other side again in my hole, back up. So the blue lines are going to be on the inside of each signature. And then when I get to the outside, I'm taking my piece of twine. I'm wrapping it around. I want to get it snug. And go back down my other hole. The same hole, same hole, same hole. Okay. All right. Same thing again on the other side. Up from the inside. Pull it through. Make sure it's straight. Make sure these are always straight, that you don't catch them and have a loop or something. You want to make sure they're straight, because that's what's going to keep it tight. I'm going to lay my twine down. Maybe if I hold it with my fingers, it's probably easier. I'm going to wrap it around till it gets caught on my thumb, right? Pull it. I'm not knotting, I'm just wrapping it around. I'm actually wrapping it twice, which I'm going to have to go back and wrap this one twice. Actually, if I do that now, it'll probably stay better. I just lost my thread out of my needle. Okay. So that's the start. Let's go back and double wrap this one so it'll stay put. I'm gonna wrap it again, pull it under here. Okay, so now that one's double wrapped. All right. Okay, so I want to come back to the outside. So that means that I have to wrap under this thread, because if I go through my hole, this will just pull back out. So to keep it from pulling back out, I have to go under this last thread and loop it around. And that will hold it from coming all the way back out again. And then I'm back on the outside. Okay, now I have to take my next one. So this is my second one. I'm going to loop around. And I'm going to go down through the hole. I want these to be close together. And then I have to open it, go to the next hole. So here's the tricky part, is you have to pull tight on this one and then hold it with your thumb. I'm holding it with my thumb underneath because I want that string to stay tight, and then pull it out through this one. This is a little more, this is a more decorative binding. So it's a little, and you know that last one, I think I only wrapped it once. But I really do want to wrap it twice. I'm going to wrap that one twice. And then I have to go back down through the same hole that I came out of the last time. And pull it through. And again, I want to make sure that I'm getting it snug. So you'll see that it's starting to make like a wrapped rope. And this one's not going to be super obvious because it's a very small book. If I had lots of signatures, then you would see like it would be wrapped. So the embroidery floss is doing a circle around the twine and then going back down in the hole. So you're just wrapping it with embroidery floss. And then back up through my next hole. Pull it until my string is flat. And then we're going to loop it twice around my twine. And then I want to go back in the same hole again. Oh, my tape. Okay, and there it is. And that one didn't get as close together. Oh, there we go. Okay. So I'm probably going to have to tighten that one up when I come back to knot it at the end. All right, now remember, we can't go back to the same hole until after we loop it under here. So tighten, loop, and then we got to go back to the outside so that we can get to the next signature. Back to the outside. All right, now we're on a third one. We're lining it up. Always make sure you're going the right way. I don't want to accidentally put it over here because then my book would be out of order. So I have to keep going in the same direction. All right. I'm going to wrap this again twice. Once. Twice. My thread wants to come out. All right, I'm going to go back in my same hole again, not in between my pages, hopefully. You guys, I can't see. I got to go through the hole of my next signature here. Where are you? There it is. This is why laying flat is easier. Now it's not going to go. Oh, geez. Okay, so this is what happens. If I didn't open up both my pages, I couldn't get it to go through. So I have to have both my pages open. And I have to get it to go through both of my pages, like so. All right. And again, I got to make sure that it is wrapped tightly. Pull it down. You do not have to bind your book this way. If you want to staple your book, then you can definitely staple your book. Now, okay, back out my hole. Pull it tight. Wrap once. Wrap twice. And back through my hole, which is right here. It's so hard to do this on camera and have you be able to see it. Open my book, pull it back out, go to my next hole. The blue thread's on the inside. Keeps wanting to come out, and I'm gonna have to tie a new piece on here in a minute. All right, I'm back up. So don't know how you can see this. I'm wrapping it around the twine one time, wrap it around the twine 2 times, down through the same hole. Whoops, I went under my printable. That's not good. Pull it through. And then I'll continue doing it. I'm going to do the next one, and then I will show you how I knot it together and finish it off. Basically, this is what you're getting, is the embroidery floss is wrapped around the twine here, which I can squish together a little bit if I want. Hopefully you can see that, or I can zoom in enough that you can see where it's wrapped. Right there, wrapped right there. This one will be the same way. I'm going to add my very last one here, and then I'll show you how I finish this off. I have my thread back to the end. I have all 4 of my signatures in here now. You can play with this floss a little bit. Once we get these ends down, then we can play with this a little bit and get that to spread out the way we like. So I'm back at my last one now. I've wrapped it around. So now what I have to do is I have this end that I taped down. Hopefully I don't mess up my printable. So I have this end, and I should have left it longer because that's kind of hard to tie. And I have this end, which I'm going to cut. All right, so the important thing, get that out of the way, is that I started and I ended on the same end, all right? So you can see the floss now wrapped around the twine. Like I said, this is a more decorative binding. I just wanted to do it on this one. So now I have my 2 ends here. So now all I'm going to do is I'm going to knot these 2. Whoops. This is much easier when you do use wax thread. You can wax any thread, any embroidery floss, or anything that you want to use for bookbinding. You can run it over paraffin wax. And I will say, waxing it does make it easier to handle, easier to work with. It glides through the pages, and it also, the wax makes it lock tighter, so when you wrap it, I just didn't want the waxy look on here, but if I do this again, I am probably going to go ahead and wax my thread. All right, so I'm going to tie it one more time just to be safe, because I don't want it to come undone after all that work. Oh, I made a mess. All right. And there's going to be a little bit of a fray there, but I don't really care. I'm going to cut it, and you will see that, but I'm not worried about it. Okay, so now I have those all done. Now I have to decide how long do I want this to stick out, and do I want to just glue it, or do I want to go ahead and put a piece of thread over it? So typically put a little X there and tie it down. It will come through on this side and on your very back cover, which, you know, that's fine. To me, it's all decorative. So I think that I am going to put a little glue, and I'm going to go ahead and stitch it down. I'm trying to decide. I think I'm going to split this so that it's smaller. I think I'll split it in half. I'm going to take it down to 3 strands. How good are my eyes? Ooh, I got it in there. Okay. So this is just a regular sharp, a sewing needle. The tricky part is whether it will pull through my paper. So what I'm probably going to have to do is put a touch of glue on my knot on the other side. All right, if there are professional bookmakers watching this, you're going to probably go, oh, she could have done that completely different, blah, blah, blah. I do this for fun. I'm not a professional. I don't claim to be a professional. I love to bind my own stuff and make things. And I saw this in one of my bookbinding books and I thought, oh, that looks pretty. I want to do that. And so that's what I'm doing. I don't claim to be an expert by no means. All right, I'm going to do a little line of glue about that far. I'm going to lay that down there. I'm trying to decide if I try to just go ahead and glue all of them, if they'll pop up when I'm stitching the other ones. All right, so I really want to try and get it on the border of where I'm at. And I'm probably going to have to put a little glue there so that doesn't go anywhere. And I don't even mind that thread in there because it's a journal. All right, I'm going to make a little X right here, the other side of my twine. And then we're going to try to see if I can get it to come out in the right spot. Close. Whoops, sorry, hit the camera. And what I'm going to do is cross this way to make a little X. So I'm going to go right here. Go through again. I'm going through 3 layers of paper and my needle's not liking it, but come on. All right. So can you see the X? I have a little X there. On the inside, it's just 2 little straight lines. That one's not even going to be a straight line. So, you guys, I just realized if I had just left a tail, see, I'm learning with you. If I had just left my tail there, it would have been so easy to tie this instead of worrying about putting a knot in it. But since I did that, I'm going to have to use my needle to tie a knot. To come around it again and up and through. Whoops, 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 don't do that. Oh, I blew that, you guys. I really should have left a long tail there, and it would have been easier to tie that. So now I'm struggling. So don't do what I did. Leave a long tail so that when you come back to the inside, you can tie that knot there. This is the way not to do it. Oh my goodness, can't even pick the thing up. It's because it's so tiny and I'm trying to hold on to it. And I want to try and go back through that loop so it makes a real knot. Come on. I want to go through this loop because I want to make sure I get a good knot. And the next time I will definitely leave a long enough tail to hold on to.
Come on now. Oh, and see, my knot's going to be too high up. Rats. Let's see if I can get it to go tighter. I don't know. Maybe if I hold that. I think I'm going to put a little glue under it to make sure it doesn't go anywhere. All right, so if I put a little glue right under here, and then I can just press it down. Make it look like a straight line. Press it down. There's always a way. Where there's a will, there's a way. All right, there we go. So on the inside, I have 2 little lines, which is fine with me. And on the outside, I have an X. And then what I'll do is I'll trim this where I glued it, right there. And that is that. And I am not going to go through all of these, but these, 1, 2, 3 on this side, then I'll do the ones on this side the same way. And that is what makes this hold flat like that. Okay, I'll show you when I have them all done.